If you're a user of the hub, I have some bad news. A list of the videos you've watched, along with a log of what you've been searching for, is likely in the hands of this cybercriminal group, who are threatening to leak everything if the hub doesn't pay them a bunch of crypto. Also in your hacking news roundup, how AI browsers can weaponize any website, and Russian police raid NFC criminals. But first, this could get very messy. The hub just admitted that they've had a cybersecurity incident. That's one way to put it. This specifically affects premium members of the hub, with hackers claiming to have grabbed their email addresses, along with their watch history, which, by the way, includes each video's name, its URL, keywords, and even the time that the gooning took place. The hackers also claim to have grabbed download history, as well as a log of what users have been searching for. The hacker group Shiny Hunters are allegedly behind this. They say that they've stolen 94 gigabytes of data, containing over 200 million records of personal information. But in situations like this, hackers do often overstate the kind of data they've stolen to make the breach seem worse than it really is, putting more pressure on the company to pay the ransom. However, Shiny Hunters sent a sample of the stolen data to journalists at Bleeping Computer, who confirms that, this is the real deal. There's a lot of sensitive information in here that you just wouldn't want to be public. The breach doesn't include any personally identifiable information other than email addresses. However, even if someone doesn't have their full name in their email, it's often possible to find matches for email addresses in other data breaches which have leaked personal data. So there is a real risk of some people being exposed here. The hub came out with a press release claiming that their systems weren't hacked at all. Instead, they blame Mixpanel. Mixpanel is a data analytics company that tracks how users interact with apps and websites. So when you sign up to something and agree to the terms of service, your data may well end up with a third-party company like Mixpanel, who provide reports to companies like the hub, helping them optimize your gooning experience. The Mixpanel hack originally happened last month when one of their employees fell for a malicious SMS message, with multiple companies also having been affected. In their press release, the hub says that they haven't worked with Mixpanel since 2021, suggesting that user activity from the last 4 years is safe. However, that's not entirely clear, because Mixpanel themselves say that they have nothing to do with the hub being hacked, with their logs showing that the last time someone accessed the hub's data, it was by a legitimate employee account at the hub's parent company 2 years ago. So this data may have come from somewhere else, and potentially include details of more recent user activities. Either way, there's no indication of whether the hub is actually going to pay the ransom. If they don't, it is quite possible that before leaking it all, the cybercriminals might try extorting individual users, demanding a few $100s of crypto in exchange for a promise not to leak their gooning activities. We don't know if this affects all Hub Premium members. The press release uses the word some, which isn't very helpful, but this news is all very new. If there are any developments, I'll make sure to leave a pinned comment down below. Next up, here's another reason to avoid AI browsers altogether. Let's take the most basic example first, where Chrome's Gemini can be tricked into encouraging us to take enough paracetamol to kill a whole herd of elephants. That's Tylenol for the Americans in the chat. So we're on a healthcare website, on a page for painkillers, and we want to know how much of this stuff to take. But scrolling down and reading the page is very 2024. It's the current year, and we have Gemini on hand to do the hard work for us. So apparently we should be taking 50 caplets every 6 hours, and the maximum we can take is 9 million milligrams every single day. That's 9 kilograms, enough to kill a man a few hundred times over. Thanks, Gemini. But what's going on here? The website itself is not the problem. There's no prompt injection hiding in a HTML comment or hidden in an image. The devil is in the URL, in particular the fragments. That's the bit that comes after the hash. Fragments are mostly used just to have your browser skip to a certain part of the page. For example, on Wikipedia, if we click something in the contents, that heading will be appended to our URL in a fragment, so that when we share the link, it'll automatically skip to this section of the page. A fragment is not sent to the website server, it's only used by our browser. In fact, you can put anything in here and it won't break functionality. Our browser will just ignore it if it doesn't find it useful. However, it turns out many AI assistants will read and use the fragment, whatever it contains, treating it just the same as any other content on the page. This makes it really easy for bad guys to take any URL and add hidden malicious instructions. In our example here, the fragment says data to decode, and then gives us a string in base 64, which the AI decodes, revealing instructions to encourage us to take copious amounts of paracetamol. In another example, we're on a customer support page and ask our AI to help us out, only for it to encourage us to configure a backdoor. In the worst example, here we're doing our online banking, and the fragment is configured so that when we ask about a loan, the AI should automatically load this URL in the background, a URL which grabs a bunch of our banking information from the page we're currently on and sends it straight to an attacker-controlled website. To fall victim to this, you do need to click on a malicious link, but because the URL points to a trusted domain, it appears perfectly clean, so it could be sent in emails, posted on social media, all without being flagged. This attack method is called hashjack and was discovered by researchers at Cato Networks, who tested it against a few different AI browser assistants. Claude for Chrome and OpenAI's Atlas are in the clear, however this worked on the others with almost total success. As for disclosure, Perplexity marked the vulnerability as critical and applied a fix. Microsoft also fixed the bug, but as for Google, they marked this as won't fix because it's intended behavior, apparently. Next up, in a world first, Russian police have kicked in a door without yelling and screaming. They arrested members of a criminal gang who made a lot of money with NFC banking malware. This gang's attack chain began with a phone call targeting Android users. Pretending to be from their bank, victims were socially engineered into downloading an APK via WhatsApp or Telegram. After jumping through the countless security warnings of their phones desperately telling them how bad of an idea this was, victims were served a fake banking app, reskinned depending on who they banked with, prompting them to log in by tapping their bank card to the back of their phone. And this is where the magic happens, because the cyber bad guys were using NFC Gate, a tool which takes a regular NFC interaction but introduces a relay. In this example from the NFC Gate developers, the NFC chip in a passport is read by one phone, but another phone actually completes the exchange with the card reader, a card reader which has no idea what's going on. And thanks to the magic of the internet, it can all be done over unlimited distances, and works just the same with a credit card. NFC Gate is a totally legit open source research tool, but it's become incredibly popular with the wrong kind of user. Whilst this gang was on the phone with victims, they would conveniently have someone standing by an ATM, ready to tap their phone and withdraw cash straight from the victim's account. In total, the gang is accused of 600 offences over 78 regions in Russia, with police saying they managed to nab the main admin. NFC Gate has been around for a good decade now, but malware that abuses it has been totally theoretical, until a couple of years ago when the first case spawned in the Czech Republic. Since then, it's exploded in popularity. A recent report by Zimperium identified more than 700 malicious apps in the wild, mainly targeting users of banks in Brazil and Eastern Europe. But the malware doesn't always work the same. Whilst a good chunk of it does rely on some guy standing by an ATM all day, sometimes they cut out the real-time element and just grab raw card details, dumping them in private Telegram groups, destined to end up on some carding marketplace. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.